forum is significant because we are not just thinking about how we can increase understanding. We are also planning how we can cooperate to make the world a better place for all of us, and in particular, how can we use increased intercultural understanding to advance the Millennium Development Goals? When we talk about new strategies, I am always reminded of the saying, plus ça change, plus c'est la même chose. The more things we change, the more we stay the same. So in thinking ahead, we should not lose sight of what has gone before. At the present, we are very aware of the Arab awakening, of los indignados sitting down in the streets of Madrid, the Occupy Wall Street movement spreading across the world. Even as we talk, there are protests beginning in Moscow challenging the recent elections. But before that, we had the fall of the Iron Curtain, which is often compared to the Arab awakening. Some of my fellow members of the Club of Madrid, who were part of that movement and then became leaders of the post-Soviet countries, have been traveling in these regions to share their own experiences. This has resonated very strongly with the recent experiences in the Arab world. One of the strengths of the Club of Madrid is the capacity for members to share the experience of office with current leaders and civil society activists. Even before the current protests, we had the project of freedom of association in the Middle East and in North Africa. We have not heard much about my continent in the last 2 days, but we have also experienced popular movements. In 2006, we had the March of the Penguins in Chile, the protest by the students, which has emerged again in the wake of the financial crisis. There have been recent protests by indigenous people against plans for resource exploitation in Peru and Bolivia recently. In my own country, in Colombia, we had the largest voting in 1997 to give the mandate to the government to end the conflict between armed groups inside Colombia. We also have previous experiences shared with recent developments is that all our efforts to make voices heard, and when people want to make their voice heard, then they will find ingenious way to do so. Sadly, if those voices are ignored, we have only too many examples of where the level of confrontation, increase, and violence may result. However, they are heard when they have the possibility of creative and innovative solutions. We are currently involved in a project in South Africa to see how dialogue can be more effective. One of our colleagues there who organize dialogues meetings remind us that listening is as crucial as speaking. Do we really respond to what the other is saying? So the really crucial thinking is to improve the quality of dialogue and communication. In the Shared Society project, we have identified, on the basis of our experience and from considering experience elsewhere, 4 basic principles: equality, genuine respect for the dignity of the other, human rights, and meaningful participation. Together, they reinforce each other as a virtuous circle. I believe they are the cornerstone of effective intercultural dialogue that can advance our development goals, so let me, in my last few minutes, say a few words about each. Equality. It's not easy to achieve. We can easily believe that we are superior to others because of our status, experience, age, gender, wealth, education, or citizenship, and so on. And equally, we can easily believe we are inferior to someone else. But our experience is not mine, and you are the experts in knowing what it's like to live your experience. We all have experience to share, and we need to take all our experience into account. The powerful trend to control knowledge, and those of us in leadership positions know that we are under pressure to listen to the concern of some over others. Dialogue is the way to take the power out of equations if we genuinely willing to look together for solutions to problems which take into account all our perspectives and not competing to impose one perspective on the other. I came, in my case, under great pressure when I opened the dialogue with the guerrilla movement with the FARC in my country. Some sections of our society thought I was giving concessions to the guerrilla groups and did not recognize that they are part of our people and that we need to achieve a peace process inside the country. I do not regret the efforts I made, even though we did not succeed at that time. We need to respect the dignity of the other. And to achieve that open form of equal dialogue, we have to respect the other and believe their experience and insights are valid. If we do not respect them, we may appear to listen, but we are not intending to ignore them in the end because we have already discounted the relevance of what they have to say. We do not have to like or agree with the people we're dealing with, but we have to understand that their views are valid and reflect their own experience. We can more easily respect the other when we recognize that we have a common humanity, and if we were in the position, we would probably come to the same conclusion about the situation they found themselves. We have to show respect and seriously, even if it means taking risks. When I opened the dialogue with a guerrilla group in my country, I went to meet them alone in the middle of the jungle without protection, and this showed them that I was willing to take risks for peace. But goodwill and respect not always come easily. In the human rights context, we therefore have to enshrine the principle of the dignity of the other in the law, and that means protecting everyone's human rights and ensuring that one cannot be discriminated against. This enhances the dignity of all and allows us to meet in dialogue on an equal footing. In this context, it is relevant to think of the right to be consulted. In many South American countries, they have introduced today laws giving the indigenous people the right to be consulted about plans which will affect them. It introduced International Law Resolution 1969 of the International Labour Organization. It is important to stress that this does not give a veto to the indigenous community, but it does concentrate the mind. In such circumstances, consultation is no longer a token exercise to try to make people feel they have been consulted, nor it is an attempt to cut up them to a decision already made. The people involved in the dialogue are there as of right. They have to be taken seriously. The ideas have to be listened carefully, and the first obligation is to try to incorporate their ideas in the future action. If their ideas are not going to be adopted, then cogent reasons have to be expressed, which explain why that is the case. These considerations are the basis of the real dialogue. Perhaps today, on this final day of this forum, we might begin to set out the framework and the code of practice which will ensure meaningful intercultural dialogue that can ensure we have a genuine alliance of civilizations that can in unity tackle the problems that we face today and for the future. I wish you good luck in your deliberations for the rest of the day and on your ongoing efforts to advance in this work. Thank you.
Thank you, President Pastrana.